to Off Market, the show where we talk about Perth property with the Perth property people. Welcome back, Shane and Roscoe.
Thanks, Jess. Good to see you.
The market is heating up, guys, and the media are finally catching up with what you guys have been saying for a couple of months now, I would say.
Yes. Couple of months, come on, it's been 6, mate. We are way ahead of the curve. What do they call it? Rostradamus is in the house.
Yeah. Give us a call. We are in another absolutely stunning location today. Thank you to the team at Oswald Homes for hosting us at Kalari House, which is their City Beach display. Beautiful. Have you guys had a look around?
Had a wander around.
It's really stunning. We're sitting in the small little living area, but Chris is going to show you around. It is open on Saturdays and Sundays from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. If you do want to come and check it out, just call the team at Oswald Homes. How's the last couple of weeks been for you guys?
Hectic.
Well,
one of the weeks was at Rottnest. I was hectically doing nothing. So that was okay.
Frantically
doing nothing.
Yeah. Ross is in Rottnest.
See the quokka selfie.
Mate, I took a great photo of the quokka.
Where did you put it?
Had a little baby quokka.
That photo? People have wanted to use that photo. They've called me an influencer.
Okay. Federer, Nadal, Hewitt.
Now Hunter.
Ross. Anyway, we're going to go straight into Under the Hammer. We've had quite a few agents sending us in their results for this week. Lots of good stuff happening around Perth. I've got a bit of a list here, so I'm going to kick it off. Roscoe.
Yeah.
A couple from your agency, which is good to see.
Yep.
Simon McGrath contacted me. He sold a Subiaco property via open negotiation. It was appraised at 830.
Right.
I think it was like 86.
86,000. That would have been a good buy.
That's when he started.
Yeah. 1886. Right.
830 to 870. He had 56 groups through, first home open, 7 registered bidders, ended up selling it for 1.1.
Yeah.
So very, very good result there.
Massive.
And if you're interested in reading some very good property copy, which there isn't too much around, that is a very good example of it. Chris Jones from Davey Real Estate said he's selling most properties 10 to 20% higher than sales evidence would suggest at the moment. So the market's moving.
I think it's a really important point there because obviously the sales evidence that's settling now, unfortunately, was on the back of COVID.
Yeah.
So good agents should understand they can't really go in there and say, well, this sold in 1st of June, because in actual fact, it'll probably hit the market in April. You really have to almost try and find that live data. And your more dominant agents obviously going to have that info because they're the ones selling it.
Yeah. It's real-time data at the moment. Absolutely.
Yeah. And we are seeing for the first time valuations lagging for that exact point.
Yeah, right.
So agents want to be going there with sales evidence saying this is what we used because the values won't be privy to that sometimes.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. Good to know. David Airy from Airy Real Estate has sale in Mount Claremont, first home open. He got an offer that it was 100K over sales evidence, and then ended up selling before auction after several more offers came through. Lisa Buckley shared a flat she had on the market for 230, 270 and was sold for 290 within 5 days. Amazing. Chelsea Lansdowne from Ray White, Mosman Park, Cottesloe, tells us about a rental they had on the market for $1,800 per week. Tenants offered $1,950 per week to secure it sight unseen. So
I actually saw some footage on your Instagram or the office Instagram of people lining up wanting in a loo.
Yeah.
Like, what was?
Look, it comes back to that sale you got there for Lisa Buckley. You know, what's really interesting about that, be it the rental, be it the sales market at that sort of 250, 270, which is almost the forgotten market. Everybody talks about all the big sales, the Hollywood sales, which is all nice, but that's the forgotten market as far as commentary goes. And I find that really fascinating because all of a sudden we're seeing that market really get some gravitas, which hasn't happened for a very long time. So I actually think it's a really important market to watch as an indicator of what's really going on. So, and be it the rental market, the same at that level.
We do have Jamie sitting in the corner, and a lot of this stuff that we've just spoken about was Western Suburbs. Jamie, you're East Vic Park based. Can I ask if you've had any kind of incredible results that you're wanting to share from a slightly different market?
I think leasing overall, we're probably looking at an average of 15 to 30 people at a home open. First home open, and probably on average 10 applications per property.
Wow. Okay.
And good quality applications from what we're hearing. Like before sort of, do we take a chance? But I think the people that were just skimming through, because there's no one else, they're going to struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, and the other interesting thing about applications, Jamie, we're seeing people actually going to the effort to ask other people, what do you need to do to actually have your application? It's almost, I'm putting a CV in for a job. Yeah. How do I write the best CV possible? People that take the application seriously, wanting to make sure they pop.
I'm going to stop you there because we're skipping ahead.
Sorry.
And we are going to get Jamie onto the show a little bit to talk exactly about that.
You've been putting our spot, mate.
Well, definitely.
I know. Well, I want
okay,
Jamie to
we'll get back on point.
I'm on point. We're on point.
Keep it up.
Thanks, mate.
Keep it up, Ross.
Thanks.
Anyway, the moral of the story, guys, is things are moving. We're very excited. We're more excited than we were a month ago.
And what Ross said about that entry-level housing, what people forget, at 700, it's been hot for a while because people are typically going up or down the real estate ladder. We need that entry level to kick so that negative equity gets chewed up, and those people at 300 can go to 500 and it flows on. Unfortunately, state government, I guess I'm whinging, no first homeowners grant. They could have had this happen a while back, but fingers crossed.
But then that market too, though, Shane, we talked today's property management focus, but then that market is very important because what we've got at the moment is a shortage of investors out there, has been for a long time. Investment properties, so rentals, which are really tight at the moment. So all of a sudden there's confidence in that market, which is going to bring investors back in the market for the first time. They can see capital growth and they can see a decent return. And that's the first market the investors head into is that level. So
one thing on that, I think quite often you hear on the radio agents saying we want a grant. I don't think I'll sell more properties because there's a first homeowners grant. But what I do know is when you've got a rental crisis and you can't help people get into the market as an owner, you're always going to have a rental crisis. So that's what it's about. Not about agents making more sales, because I don't think it will happen. In fact, some buyers might change things, but it's about actually freeing up property in general.
Beautiful. All right. On that note, we're quickly going to talk about, for the real press this week, the federal budget, which was released this week. A couple of things of note for the real estate sector. Tax cuts, backdated to July 1. Expanded first home buyers deposit scheme, which has increased the purchase price of property from $750 to $950. Shane, you're looking sad about that?
Not unestablished.
Not unestablished.
It's ridiculous.
Yep.
But anyway.
The same old story. An increase.
Sorry. No, we've got a new home rep. Yes, so he's laughing. I can actually hear him chuckling in the background.
He's on Instagram. I can see him.
That's why we're driving Volkswagens. He's driving Porsches.
That's right.
The final one, which we, I guess, noted was an increase in spending on infrastructure, which, as we've talked about before, really does have a direct impact on property prices in those areas.
And as we said before, the infrastructural, which was spoken, the investment by the WA government, we actually seen it out there on the roads and cranes and roadworks and all those things are happening now. So, and once again, it all streams back to confidence. And something Shane said off camera, which I think is really important, is he said we're the only state that's
not in a recession.
Not recession.
So I think we've felt that for quite some time. There's been a better energy about the place, but to actually have the press saying WA is the only, literally, state, or island as we refer to ourselves, that isn't in recession is a pretty powerful message. And I think families looking to move to WA, whether it be trades, because I think it's not just mining. Whilst mining gets all the limelight, all this building that's happening, we're going to need more chippies, more concreters, more plumbers. Having that confidence you are going to get work is really good because ultimately we need immigration.
That was one of the things that I didn't mention when I was saying about Chris Jones from Davies Results. He actually mentioned that he's selling a couple that are sight unseen to East Coast buyers, which we've spoken about already.
Yep.
So very interesting. All right, guys, we're going to go into in the industry, but we're mixing things up. Normally we don't invite our guest on just yet, but we are going to today. So please come on down. We've got Jamie Horner from Empire Estate Agents.
James, best one in front of the camera.
No, Chris told her not to do that. So
listen to Chris. Listen to me. I'm the director around here.
I did drama at school, and that's called masking.
Masking.
So Jamie is the licensee and principal at Empire Estate Agents, and you guys are just killing the property management game, which is why we wanted to invite you on. We wanted to do a bit of a property management focus this week. Obviously, vacancy rates are at an 8-year low, 1.3%. And, the media is kind of cottoning onto that and really kind of talking about it a lot. So we wanted to chat to you about that. Can we start with the basics, I guess, and for people who maybe don't understand, what are the kind of factors that have led us to where we are right now?
I think for a lot of tenants, because I think they're probably the most hit at the moment, I'll say that investors as well, but for tenants, I think it's come as a bit of a shock. So the media sort of let them know that it got crazy about 2 months ago, but in reality, it actually started earlier this year. In reality, you need about 7,000 rental properties to be available in stock for supply to meet demand. And when I mean supply to meet demand, I mean 5 people at home opens, a couple of applications, rents going up $10 per week. We just went under 3,000. So 5 years ago, we had 13,000 rental properties, but every single year we've roughly absorbed 3,000. So we're literally at a stage where, you talk about it being a 1.3% vacancy rate. If we actually took away apartments in the CBD area, you're probably actually talking about a 0.5% in reality for outside that area.
Okay. Yeah. And so what has led to that?
Well, from the outset, I guess, would lack of building, lack of people getting into the marketplace as first home buyers, because I guess in essence they've had it pretty easy. Rents haven't been going up. Do you think that it caught them napping to a degree?
I think we had a massive shortfall. So I don't know if people remember homelessness, people sleeping in cars, 2010, 11, 12. We did a lot of good things in the sense of moving construction on, JDAP, all those sort of things. Construction, investment, a lot of people bought properties and we went from probably having 8,000 rental properties to having 13,000. So we almost had double what we needed. Rents therefore went, demand. It's interesting. People keep saying to me, are there more people coming here and that's why? Demand's actually stayed constant. We had a huge oversupply in 2013, got up to 13,000 properties, but every year we've just chipped away 2,000, 3,000, 3,000 properties. But most of my owners are long-term investors and they will probably buy a property every 2 or 3 years. They're just mum and dad, but they haven't bought a property in the last 5 years. So we just don't have that supply. I mean, you guys do a lot of selling. How many people in the last 5 years have bought a property out of investment purposes?
Well, the ones that have, unfortunately, probably 4 or 5 years ago, they felt they got burnt. But we say to them, you only get burnt if you're selling. You're getting in. I think anyone that's brought in the last 4 or 5 years, looking back, I think they're going to do well. They really are. But you're right, because they've sort of had the LVR on their own property come down, they're typically that equity using that line of credit has, I guess, pulled back. So it's taken a lot of people out of the marketplace. That is a general rule, but they still believe it's a good thing to go into buying property, but it just unfortunately hasn't been friendly to them for that. For that
I think
situation.
the last 5 years have been hard. So they're a bit shy, but we absolutely need them to come back into the market. We're sort of talking critical levels at the moment.
How do you think the emergency period that we're in right now is affecting that as well?
Look, Demers did come out and give us an explanation on the extension. I must admit, we're probably all up in arms. Queensland were quite good. They basically said, those that are affected, let's have a legislation for them. Let's look at grants for them. But for everyone else, let's put them back to the free market. So we've had 6 months of rent not going up, and now we've got another 6 months of rent not going up, which means that investors are going, I still can't technically get the right landlord in protection insurance, still worry what's going to happen. I've had owners who have said that because they can't get their landlord protection insurance, they're not going to put their property up for rent. They'd rather just leave it empty.
Can you explain why that is?
So when COVID hit, a lot of landlord insurers removed, either basically set a moratorium on taking out new policies, or we would remove rent default.
Right.
So we've got a lot of owners that have got a lot of concerns, but we need them back in the market. If, like I said to you, if you took out Perth, East Perth, North Perth, Burswood, we're down to 2,000 properties and we need 6,000.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, that number, because when I think 2006, 2007, when the real estate market for selling was at a crisis point, it got down to 4,000 properties on the market. I think they say about 12 to 13,000 is the healthy number.
That's the perfect hum number.
And we're at sort of 10,300. So normally one market's going and one's not, but at the moment both are pretty buoyant.
I think come March, those rent increases are going to be huge.
Bit of a rude shock.
So
it's a bit scary but that landlord insurance, that's not really fair. I guess the government bringing a policy.
When are insurers fair, Shane?
Well, it's a
Tell
very
me
good
that.
story.
They're like
but
banks.
I'll talk about
they
it
give you an
another time.
umbrella when the sun shines and they take it away when it rains.
That's very true. But I just don't think you can actually have a government policy brought in which makes it, in essence, illegal to do something. But then they take the policy away protecting you from that. But
Yes.
it's modern day mafia.
You're preaching to the choir, mate.
Oh,
Tell me very quickly, how are you managing people who are missing out at the moment? Renters.
Look, I must admit, we've gone from aggression when you tell people that they weren't accepted because they didn't know it was a crazy market. So a lot of people were actually, wow, is that why I was actually denied? I didn't realise it was. I think it hit people pretty quickly. But you also go into the fact that the WA Property Managers page is a great one. Everyone in town shares a lot of information. But I had a PM recently put up that people were aggressive at home opens. People were pushy, 30, 40 people. So the hard thing also is that, you're also getting 10 applications, which means that you're looking at a 90% rate of people not getting a property. And you've got to admit that at least 3 or 4 of them need a property. They weren't moving out of home. It wasn't an optional thing. So I think you've got that aggression and those sort of things. But so the market has quickly changed where some property managers are even saying application first and then you get to see. Because it's just that, housing is a natural need for everyone and we're just at a crisis level.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've had a couple of home opens where the buyers who are keen have been ragging up the property in front of other buyers.
To put them
ragging
off.
it hard, pointing out things, and they go, "So, do you want to get off?"
I remember people when I lived in Sydney, 2010, 2012. I remember them people looking for houses in a similar kind of situation. We're going to roll into Hood Highlight, but we're going to stay on the same theme. So really, it's one segment, but we're making it two. Tell me, you've obviously said there's a lot of stock in Perth, East Perth, North Perth. What's the kind of stock that's really, really under? There's none of it.
Houses.
Just any houses.
Houses. And in reality, modern apartments are fine, but when you're looking at houses, if you're looking at houses in your northern suburbs, your western suburbs, anything within a 10K CBD range, you're looking at applications 150 above asking price.
Yeah, okay.
And when I say aggressiveness at home open, it's people are wanting your time. They want to secure that home. They want to know what they can get it. Offering it. Look, I suppose people are just at that desperate price, but houses still probably are not necessarily what investors go for. So there is limited supply.
Maintenance, lack of depreciation.
Big family homes aren't a natural investors sort of thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You asked the question before, what are some tips for renters in preparing their application?
Be nice to your property manager. This is going to sound funny. Don't park in the driveway because when I come in, I want to park in the driveway. No, it's more the fact that the application form, I honestly, this is going to sound weird, but fill it in. I had some tenants and I spent about 20 minutes with them explaining them because they'd probably been rejected on about 35 properties and it's a bit soul destroying. But when they did actually apply for the property, one of them hadn't even filled it in correctly. So this is going to sound, if a property manager's got 10 applications, just like you do for a property, you're going to see which one you can check in a manner quickly. So I would say
a reference in itself.
Written references make all the difference. And I almost mean pet references. So people have a reference for their pet. They have a copy of their lease. They have written references because it just means that you could pick up that application and it's all done.
Everything's there.
If not, you could probably spend 2 hours assessing an application as opposed to looking at one that's got everything filled in and the paperwork attached.
It's like when you're applying for a job, Alana and I always say, if you haven't bothered to write a cover letter that addresses me directly and talks about the place of work that you're applying for, I'm not going to look at your resume. Sorry.
Would it be a good idea to take a photo of yourself homeless in a car? This is where we're
I'm
at.
not sure if that...
Is that
Just a photo.
But I would also say do not call the property manager 5 times after you've put the application in.
Okay.
So give them some time, but also too, if I'm serious, pay slips, all those sort of things. The easier that you make it for a decision to be made, you got to think about it. You've got 10 other people that are also just as desperate for that property.
So what does this mean for the market? Like, what would your advice be to an investor right now?
Buy.
Buy.
I've got some great stock too.
Yeah, buy.
It's just on that, with you're talking about the vacancy and good tenants being, I guess, upset because they're not getting one. We had a situation, we've sold a property. The tenant had every intention to move out of the home. FIFO worker, nurse, mature kids, great candidate. They missed out on 10 family homes. We couldn't get the property vacant for settlement. The owner ended up getting hit with penalty interest on 19 days, but they put 10 brilliant applications in. There couldn't be better tenants, legitimately. So it is really tough out there for many of them. You know?
Yeah.
And no one wasn't the tenant being difficult, wasn't owner being difficult. It's just the current situation.
Just where it's at the
Mm-hmm.
moment. How do you anticipate this is going to go over the next 6 months?
28th of March will be scary. Even if we just kept going on the same track that we're going on. So I actually think we've had extra stock come into the market because a lot of Airbnb have come in. So they're going to leave the market as soon as we're obviously open, which means that everyone's saying, well, how about all that supply that's coming? I think we're also going to lose some. So let's assume we don't add or take any in March. It means that we've still got critically low levels. So I think it means price increases and people desperate to get in.
I think, and that, I guess with interest rates being low, and I'm not trying to just push sales, but a lot of people, if they've got the equity, they've got the money, got the deposit, they should be really looking to get into the market. We spoke to the guys at Keystart the other week.
Yeah.
They're actually they would be paying less in a mortgage than rent.
So the same property, the equivalent property, yeah.
We need incentives on both ends. Investors to get back into the market rather than the other way, which is going at the moment, and to reduce demand, get those people that can buy, but also to lenders are being still difficult. I think we need government to move on lenders and also
There's
opening
talk
up
of that
their...
now, isn't it? They're meant to be looking at that.
Lenders are supposed to be, but...
Wonderful. That was a very interesting conversation, Jamie. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed that. Any final questions?
She's quite intelligent.
She's brilliant.
She showed out to Shane and I.
Shout out to West Coast
Thanks,
Property
mate.
Training who recommended you for the show. Roscoe,
This is where I get to be intelligent.
this is where you get to lift the hood.
This is it, mate.
Under the hood.
Jamie.
Oh, my hood.
Yeah.
Your
Oh,
hood.
okay.
Yeah.
Where do you
Oh,
live?
we're over.
Do you live in the same area?
No, I'm in South Perth.
She's in
I'm
south
a
of the river.
We should
Southie.
hear some good tips.
Yeah.
It's the good people hang.
Yeah. Okay. Jamie, most
When you
important
make it in Vic Park, you move to South Perth. So we'll work with that, all right?
most important part of the show. Come on, you guys, get on point. Right.
We're on point.
Jamie, what's your career highlight thus far?
Other than
Oh,
Other than today.
okay. If we had to exclude this one, I don't. No,
This
I'm
is
not
it.
up. No, okay, then I don't have any.
Little bit of background. You've been in property management and real estate for 20 years, is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
23 years.
Yeah.
But I love sport. So the way I look at it is it's like you played one game, there's no need to celebrate, go on and move on to the next.
Love
So,
that.
so I'm one of those, just keep moving on.
Beautiful.
God, when we used to play a game, you get drunk and then go. That's okay. Jamie, COVID finishes, it's over, gates are lifted, we can travel. What's your bucket list place? What's the
Do I have to take the kids or can I leave them behind?
sense of kids, no kids?
Okay,
Yeah.
kids. I'd say Canada.
Canada.
Yes. I think Canadians are like Australians. We won't
Okay.
talk about
Do you like
we won't talk about
the
their
cold?
neighbours at the moment, but
Okay.
Winter or summer?
snow.
Snow? Okay. Very good.
Nice
Very
one.
good.
I like that.
Okay, so because you have so much time on your hands now, because you've got no vacancies, you're chilling out a lot. So what's your Netflix go to with all this spare time?
I'm not a Netflix person. I do like The Witcher, but I'm a sports person.
Okay.
So there's sports probably on
What's your
every
go-to sport?
anything. So West Coast killed me last week, so
Yeah.
we won't talk about that. But AFL, cricket, football, basketball,
Do you
netball.
have KO? Which
Yes,
has been...
yes.
Do you have KO?
Do you?
Is it my
great.
KO account?
All right, play
Someone's
nice,
kicking
you
me
do.
off.
Okay. What's out of everything, Jamie? What's your biggest fear? What's your
Work or home, or both.
over to you?
I'm actually afraid of chickens and birds. Same. Oh, and like paralysing chicken and birds. Like I'll put
really?
my kid in front of, like I'll put them out there over me if a bird or a chicken
Amen.
comes in.
Amen.
That sort of
intimidating.
level.
Chickens are
Do
disgusting.
you eat chicken?
I like chicken.
I do eat chicken. I don't mind eating them. I just, it's paralysing.
Okay.
They're like little dinosaurs.
They're beautiful. Pick them up and
yeah.
they're great. Okay,
Crusty
excellent.
legs and
I feel attacked. I feel attacked when they're near me.
I actually saw a chicken the other day wearing arms. It was quite entertaining.
wearing arms.
Like, had like
Only
arms on.
Gozzies.
It looked like
Was that in Gozzies?
No, it was on face.
like-
Put it on. It's very funny because he's got like, it looks like a little haircut in the arms.
Okay.
That really freaked
That
me
sounds
out.
like a nightmare.
Jamie, busy day, busy week. Today's Friday. What's your decompression? What do you do to get away from it all? Watch sport.
Watch sport, play sport, but I'm probably a very good supporter of being in Vic Park, the food and the alcohol shops, I think. Can
Okay,
I say that?
which is our
food and drink.
Which is our next. This is the question. This is for the benefit of Shane and I. Is what's your go-to meal, dish, restaurant?
You guys have obviously been to Vic Park, so you know that you could. I think it's the number one Uber Eats place in Australia. Like it's the hot.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's rated as the Vic. Oh gosh, you could actually start at one. Okay, I'd say Niho Asian tapas. It's awesome.
Niho.
Yeah, they do a $55 feed me,
Yeah.
and the food is just
that-
amazing.
What's Japanese?
Asian infusion.
Okay.
So right close to the Dutch Trading Coast, you can do both that and really
Okay.
cool.
Very
Fantastic.
nice.
There's
Very
coffee.
nice.
Where's how about the coffee?
Oh, coffee.
Surely this will be interesting.
Vic
one.
Park coffee. Yeah.
I
coffee?
don't drink coffee.
Oh wow.
Oh, really?
I know. That's right. But there's I
You're the second
I
Vic
don't need coffee.
Park-based agent that we've spoken
Yeah.
to that doesn't drink coffee.
But do you know that
Cash
people
Robin
like
doesn't
people
either.
lined up last week for an hour and a half for noodles at one of the ramen places. Like Vic Park is just crazy for food.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And it has got great coffee as well. Like we are
yeah.
next to two awesome coffee places. But
I
Yeah,
used to
that's
like
some
the
really
Imp
good
when I
coffee.
lived there.
Which
Yeah.
one?
The Imp.
That's the one I know. It's really good.
Yeah.
And it's a good burger place too.
there's Harvest Espresso, there's Ants, there's so
Royales.
many.
Yeah. Cool.
Anyway,
Thank you.
brilliant.
Actually,
I
hungry.
loved that so much. I related on so many levels, mainly about
The
chickens.
chickens.
Now, before
Yeah.
we break,
Yeah.
any play of the weeks from you two or Jamie? Play of the week is something funny, something great, anything you've seen? I've stopped collecting
is that
these from
cricket?
you in the week. But
It sounded like crickets because I didn't have one come to mind. But no. I
No?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was that little thing.
what's going on?
That's the beautiful nature in City Beach. The birds are coming in.
Cricket infestation.
Yeah.
I thought you meant watching cricket was your highlight.
Yes.
I like watching cricket.
so did
But
I.
no, I can hear crickets.
So the
Okay,
play of the week
play
is
of the week.
Shane's
Shane's deep soul.
had a stroke on camera, and that's our play of the week.
I can hear it.
I think we'll move on, Jess.
On that note, we're wrapping up the show. So that is it from us today. Thank you so much, Jamie, for joining us
Thank
and
you for
providing
having
us
me.
with so much insight. Thank you to the team at Oswald Homes for hosting us at the beautiful Kalari House. Once again, if you do want to visit, it's in City Beach, open Saturdays and Sundays at 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Any topics, results, property of
Cool
the week.
properties.
Cool
I see
properties.
some awesome properties get sent through. Oh yeah. Property of the week.
Property of the week.
Can we launch my one?
Yeah,
Cut
go.
to it. Cut to it. Look at this one. It's coming very, very soon. All the details attached.
Beautiful property, Shane. Amazing.
Spacious. Perfect for COVID.
It is.
Not that we need COVID back, but if you were in lockdown, that's the place you want to be.
It's true.
You would, true. Definitely.
There you go. If you do have a property that you would like to share with us, we are going to start doing property of the week. Anything beautiful, cool, fun, amazing, any property rental, different. Rentals or sales, we want to see them. Either tag us in the post or hashtag off-market Perth, and we'll find them and we'll share them on the show. The best one on the show.
I look forward to seeing them.
We look forward to seeing them. We do.
Yeah.
We love property. That's why we do the show. That's it from us. We will see you next time.
Done.